Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the show that takes, a pile of sources and pulls out the key insights for you.
Yeah, cutting through the noise to get to what matters.
Exactly. And today, we're going to dive into a piece of music. On the surface, maybe just another drill track, but when you actually listen closely, it kind of unfolds this whole narrative. It's almost like a lesson.
It really is. It's structured almost like a guided tour, in a way. A very specific kind of tour.
Totally. We're talking about Teach Me How to Drill. It's by Lil Mabu and Fivio Foreign, dropped back near the end of 2023, December 21st.
And to really get into it, we've got the official lyrics, the Genius song bio, the Q&A they did, and even the music video transcript. So a good amount of material.
Yeah, plenty to work with. Our goal here is to get past just the beat and figure out what they mean by Teach Me How to Drill. Because it's not just about the music style, is it?
No, not at all. It's about the lifestyle, the actions, the whole mindset associated with that term in this context.
Right. We're looking for those little details, the surprising bits, the things that maybe give you a shortcut to understanding this specific world they're painting.
We want to unpack the story they're telling. What roles are Mabu and Fivio playing? What are the actual instructions being given here?
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. This whole Drill 101 idea,
Yeah.
where does that kick off?
It's right there in the music video intro. You've got Fivio Foreign basically playing Professor Phoebe.
Huh, Professor Phoebe. Love it. And he's leading Drill 101.
Yep. And Lil Mabu is clearly the student, eager but totally inexperienced. He even says he's a visual learner.
He needs a field trip, he says.
Exactly. And he just comes right out and asks, "Teach me how to drill?" That's the core request. Sets up the whole thing.
And the production backs this up, right? Like the classroom sounds.
Yeah, you hear those effects, and Fivio leads this call and response. Griwa, boom, boom, bing, bing. It's playful, but it establishes that teacher-student dynamic immediately.
So the classroom vibe doesn't last long, I guess?
Yeah.
It moves to the field trip.
Pretty quickly, yeah. And that's when Fivio starts laying down the rules, the street code.
What kind of rules are we talking about?
Very practical stuff. He tells Mabu, watch out for the cameras, watch out for the police, nigga. Basic surveillance awareness.
Okay, makes sense.
And crucially, don't tell nobody what you do. When you do it, finish what you're doing. Discretion is paramount. Secrecy.
So it's about being careful, being quiet. And Fivio's main teaching method seems to be just watching him.
Pretty much. He says, watch what I do, listen what I say, copy my moves, follow my pace. It's learning by imitation.
And he adds that bit about taking notes, right?
Gotta take notes what's around you so you never make mistakes.
Exactly. It's all about situational awareness. Because the stakes are, they're really high.
Yeah, what are the consequences he mentions?
It's immediate stuff. Avoiding another case, staying out of the jailhouse, steering clear of the Jakes.
Jakes, meaning police.
Right. It's all about staying free. Operational security, basically.
And Mabu's reaction to all this, he seems almost too eager. Yeah, he's kind of naive about it. He asks Fivio, should I punch him in his face about someone?
And Fivio has to be like, whoa, hold on.
Right. Chill, lil bro, you gotta wait. It shows Mabu's greenness. He's ready to act, but doesn't understand the timing or the protocol yet. Needs that guidance.
Which brings us to some kind of striking parts of the song, the whole white shooter thing.
Yeah, that's a recurring description for Mabu. Fivio even says, they gonna know who did it when the face white, which is blunt.
Very. But then almost right after that, Mabu says something really specific.
He does. He says, and no, I ain't shooting no schools up.
That line stands out, doesn't it? Amidst all the talk of violence, he draws that specific line.
It really does. It's a deliberate disavowal of a certain kind of violence that carries, very different connotations, especially in the U.S.
So what do you think that tells us? Even in this narrative about street violence, there are still boundaries.
It seems so. It suggests maybe an internal code, or perhaps just a very conscious awareness of public perception and certain taboos. It complicates the idea that it's just glorifying all violence indiscriminately. There are nuances there.
Definitely adds a layer. And there's also this weird mix of seriousness and almost humor, mostly from Mabu.
Yeah, because questions are sometimes kind of absurd, right? Wait, can I do a hit on a scooter?
Yeah, or the bit where he says he almost shot him by mistake, talking about Drake.
Right. It injects this odd levity into what's otherwise pretty grim instruction. Fabio's always the one pulling him back to reality, though.
Like telling him not to use certain words.
Exactly. There's that moment where Fivio literally says, chill. That's a word you can't say. So Professor Feevey isn't just teaching actions, he's teaching the language, the code, what's acceptable within that world.
Which ties into that really central idea Fedio states. Right or wrong, it's a lifestyle, not a song.
Yeah, that line is key. It's saying, look, this isn't just entertainment. This isn't just lyrics for a track. This is presented as, well, a whole way of being.
What does that imply, that lifestyle aspect?
It implies total commitment. It implies loyalty, protection. Fivio reassures Mabu, if you with us, you good, and talks about how the whole gang gonna stand beside you. It's about belonging, about having backup.
And the lyrics get pretty specific about what this lifestyle involves. Weapons, obviously.
Oh, yeah. You hear about backpacks full of rulers, likely slang for guns, keep a Glock, fuck the mace, and even get a chop, which is usually a rifle, or buy two.
And there's mention of drug use, too.
Pop this perk so I can focus up. Using Percocet, an opioid, ostensibly for concentration before confrontation.
Wow. And then dealing with rivals directly.
Right. Lines like, I see the ops, and don't let him know we on his heels. It's about surveillance, pursuit, confrontation.
It covers the whole cycle, even what happens after an event.
Totally. The outro is basically Fivio giving the post-drill instructions. Get rid of the gun, get rid of the gloves.
And above all, silence.
Absolute silence. Don't tell nobody we went on a drill, nigga. And don't tell nobody who taught you how to go on a drill, nigga. That's the first and last rule, essentially. Keep it secret.
It's a pretty intense first collaboration for these two artists, then.
Yeah, apparently this was their first official track together. Quite a statement piece for a first collab.
And what about behind the scenes? The production?
Well, we know the producers, GRKS, 808 Antares, Swamic, and Lil Maeve. But the really wild detail is where it was recorded.
Right. This is the part that kind of blows my mind.
An Emory University student dormitory room in Atlanta.
A drill anthem about street life, loyalty, and violence recorded in a college dorm. That's unexpected.
It really is. It kind of challenges your assumptions about where this music gets made, doesn't it? Maybe says something about how accessible production is now, or just the weird intersections that happen in the music world.
Definitely. It also samples Pop Smoke, right? Welcome to the party.
Yep, it samples and interpolates that iconic track, so it's clearly positioning itself within that lineage, paying homage while doing its own thing.
And Mabu himself kind of brings it full circle at the end, connecting it to his own background.
Yeah, that outro line where he says, felt like I brought my Italian roots back. Mob shit.
What do you make of that comparison?
Well, it's him trying to frame this whole experience, this lifestyle he's being taught through a lens he understands, or at least one that has cultural resonance, codes of silence, loyalty, illicit activities. He's drawing a parallel to mafia archetypes. It adds his own personal spin, I guess.
So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway from Teach Me How to Drill? The Genius bio calls it a vivid narrative about life in the hood.
Yeah, and it highlights that blend of gritty realism and moments of humor while laying out these rules for survival.
So for you listening, this deep dive, looking at the lyrics, the video, the context, it gives you this focused look into a specific subculture.
It shows how artists build these detailed worlds, exploring really complex ideas, loyalty, survival, identity, all within a song structure. Hopefully it gives you a bit more insight than you'd get just hearing it on a playlist.
And it leaves us with a pretty provocative thought, doesn't it? That line, right or wrong, it's a lifestyle, not a song.
Definitely. What does it really mean when art is presented so explicitly as instruction, as a guide to a way of life?
Yeah, how does that blurring of lines between entertainment, education, and lived reality change how we should maybe think about storytelling and music like this? Something to chew on.